Hey everyone, happy Friday. I'm going to take us through 30 minutes of movement. I'll be guiding us through, this isn't a specific yoga practice, this is just 30 minutes of moving your body, opening it up, getting some energy flowing around and hopefully feeling good for it afterwards. So make some space in your living room, or if you've got a yoga mat, then grab your mat, roll it out and let's get started. So coming onto your mat or into your space first, just bring your big toes together, knees wide, reach the arms ahead. Moving into the body a little bit, reaching the arms forward, pressing the bum back to the heels, and then from here you can place your forehead onto the mat, or maybe hold your elbows with your hands, just create that cushion and just place the forehead down onto the forearms. Breathe in and out of the nose. Feel the rib cage expand up and out. Feel everything sink back down as you exhale, and then from here we're going to bring ourselves up into a tabletop position. The hands are under the shoulders, the knees are under the hips. And we're just going to wiggle about, check in with the body. Hooking the toes feels nice, just to stretch into the soles of the feet. Move around into the hips, side to side. Make some rolls through the spine, rounding out, drawing the belly down, changing direction. Hunch the shoulders up and draw them right down into the back. From here, we take a breath in through the nose. As you exhale, I want you to tuck the tailbone first. You're going to tuck the bum under and think about working all the way up through the spine, one segment at a time. When we get to the top, the shoulder blades spread across the back. The belly pulls in and then the chin tucks, just gently. From there, we're going to tilt the pelvis forwards, work down through the spine into an extended position. Belly coming down towards the mat. Here, I want to tuck my shoulder blades down into my back, open the chest. And then squeeze some tension from the heel of my hand to the front of my knee, so they're squeezing together. From there, tuck the tailbone again, rounding out through one vertebra at a time, working from the lower back to the mid back and into the upper back. Tuck the chin. Once more, tilt the pelvis forwards, working all the way down through the spine, coming back into that nice extension. Shoulder blades tucking down into the back. The gaze is ahead, we're not throwing the head up. And then come back to a neutral position. Just again, checking in with the body side to side. We'll work into the wrists a little bit first. So hook the toes at the same time. I always think it feels good to stretch the soles of the feet and the hands together. And then just make some circles. Circle one way, circle the other way. This is just working into our wrist extension. You can take the hands further away to get a deeper stretch, but just make that relative to your flexibility in your wrists. And then we'll go into our flex position with the back of the hand onto the ground. So you can do one at a time. So this one can feel a little bit strange or a bit intense to begin with if you've not done it before. Or you can do both together. You might find that when you go into this position first, your elbows flare out to the side and they're bent. So I want you to think about turning the armpits of the elbows forwards so their elbow points backwards. And then gently rock back and forth. You can challenge this one up a bit if it feels good. First of all, just make sure the arms are straight. Maybe take one leg back or both. It's a little challenge for you to play with. Okay, so now we've got the wrists really nice and open. We're just going to come back to that tabletop position. Check in one more time into the side body. Look over one shoulder, looking back to one foot, and then look over the other shoulder. And then come back to the center. Hook your toes, send your bum to your heels, and then just lift the hips up high. Great way to just check in with the hamstrings, walking through the feet. Positioning wise here, we want to really tuck the shoulder blades and wrap them across the back. So I'm going to turn my elbows towards the mat, or think about turning my armpits towards each other. Bending the legs here, you don't have to force the heels to the ground, so you can bend your knees and take your chest through towards your thighs. We want a nice flat back. Working all the way from the fingertips all the way back to the feet. I've got my fingertips spread nice and wide and I'm gripping the mat. My shoulders are drawing down into my back and across the back. My belly button pulls in towards my spine. And then if you've got a gap between your heel and the mat, that's fine. Just make sure you haven't got all the weight hanging in your shoulders, so you can bend the legs there if that's what you're feeling. Breathe in and out of the nose. Think about squeezing the thigh muscles, the muscles above your knees, the quadriceps. Pull the inner thigh muscles up and into the pelvis. So it's really active through the legs as well. Notice if you're forcing your chest through towards your legs and just letting the ribcage collapse, tuck it in. And then from here, we're just going to walk the feet up to the top of the mat. Bend the legs at any point that you need to bend the legs. And then hold the elbows, ragdoll the body side to side. From here, we're going to curl up the spine all the way up to standing, and then we're at the top of the mat, we're going to reach the arms up. Fold on the way down, take the hands to the ground, and then from here we'll step into plank. From your plank position, squeeze the bum, tuck it under, squeeze the thighs, press the ground away. We don't want to be in this relaxed position here with the belly sinking down, so tuck the bum under, press everything up. We also don't want to stick the bum up into the air, so bring the shoulders right above the wrists. Breathe into it. From here, push back to downward dog, and then walk the feet to the hands. From here, we're going to hold the elbows again, ragdoll side to side, and then when you're ready, curl back up the spine, reach the arms up. Fold on the way down, take the hands to the ground and step back into plank. Breathe in and out of the nose, just getting a little bit of heat into the body. Lift the hips, push back into your downward dog. Walk the feet to the hands, ragdoll about. And then curl back up. Once more, reach up and fold into plank. Hold your plank. Breathe in and out of the nose. Tucking the bum under. Push back to downward dog. Wrapping the shoulder blades across the back, spread the fingers, pulling the belly in, and then walk the feet to the hands again. Ragdoll about. From here, we curl up the spine all the way up, standing nice and tall. Reach your arms up. We're going to have the feet just under the hips, take hold of one wrist, take a breath in, grounding firmly through both feet, reach across the body, just coming into a lateral stretch. Bringing the body up, switching the grip, take the hand to the other wrist, reaching across. Coming all the way back up, and again, reach across to the side. And up, and switch. Keep breathing in and out of the nose. Once more each side, holding the wrist, reach across, press through both feet, coming up one more. And bringing yourself up to standing. From here, the hands come down, interlace them behind your back, make a fist. From here, we're going to open the shoulders, puff the chest out. At the same time, I want to keep firm through the tummy. So shoulders draw back, press the palms together, squeeze the bum. From there, if you want, you can stay here. From there, you can fold, so we can bend the legs, bringing the arms up and over. You're welcome to straighten the legs here more if you like, if that feels good. Just moving about into the shoulders and also feeling that into the hamstrings. From here, we'll curl back up, standing nice and tall. And then we're going to release the hands, bring them out in front, interlace the fingers again, this time round out through the back, tuck the chin. Release the fingers, bring them behind you, interlace the hands again, open the chest, staying here or adding in your fold, bringing the arms up and over. Feels nice to just move about in this position. I'm getting a really good stretch into the front of my shoulders, coming into that shoulder extension. And then coming back up, release the hands, bring them out in front, and then rounding out. Tuck the belly, squeeze the bum. Once more through, interlace the hands behind, open the chest, maybe fold. Maybe you can start to straighten the legs a little bit more. Keep the weight slightly forward in the feet rather than pushing the bum back. Bring the body up one last time. Rounding out through the back, tucking the chin slightly, squeezing the bum, spreading the shoulder blades. And then release the hands. Give the shoulders a roll forwards. Give them a roll back. Standing back at the front of your mat, reach the arms up. And then fold, bring the hands to the ground. Step your left foot back. Start with the left foot back, lower the back knee. Coming into the hips, we're going to take both hands inside the front foot. So to help you get there, you might have to shuffle the front foot out a little bit. If you have a block or some cushions handy, maybe place your hands and elevate them up if this feels a little bit too intense right now. Breathe in and out of the nose. You can keep the back knee down or extend it. Maybe, if you're feeling a bit more open, you can start to come down to the forearms. What we want is to keep the lower back nice and flat. Notice if the elbow that's closest to your foot is struggling to reach the floor, so don't force it, go straight back to a block if that's where you are. The front knee is opening out. Create some space in the hips. Move about. Extend that back leg. You can make circles. From here, come back onto the hands. The back knee can still go down onto the ground, or you can have the leg extended, whichever you prefer. The hand that's closest to your foot is going to reach up. So that's my right hand reaching up towards the ceiling, coming into a twist. Still breathing in and out of the nose. From here, the top arm comes down. And then from there, we'll step back to a plank hold. From your plank, we're going to lower down to the mat. So just start with the knees down, send the shoulders towards the fingertips, and then bend the elbows so the chest comes down, keeping the belly tight. Squeezing the bum, press up, come into a bit of an upward dog. So if this feels too much, just go onto the forearms, press through the tops of the legs, push through the forearms. If we're in straight arm position again, pressing through the hands, grip the mat, lifting the thighs, we're using that tension through the tops of the legs. And then lift the hips, go back to a downward dog. Keep breathing in and out of the nose. Every time we revisit this position, just notice that the body's starting to feel a little bit more open. And then walk the feet again to the front of the mat. We're going to fold here, so you can bend the legs, hold the legs, keep the hands on the ground. You might want to hold the elbows again. We're going to tuck the chin. From here, if you need a bit more, you can lift the hips, not forcing anything. And then curl up the spine. Reach the arms up at the top and fold down. So this time we're going to step our right foot back and lower the back knee. So we're coming into this lunge, maybe shuffle the front foot out a little bit and take both hands inside the front foot. So again, we're just checking in with the hips, warming into them, make some circles, move about. Use your blocks or your cushions to help if the hands feel like they're really having to reach quite far to the ground. You may also need cushions to place under this back knee if you struggle with the knee pressing into the floor. And then maybe we can come onto the forearms. You can also extend the back leg, making sure the back's nice and flat rather than rounding and trying to force that position. So let the chest come through, And then again, we'll come back onto the hands and add our little twist from here. So the hand closest to your foot is going to reach up. So that'll be your left hand reaching all the way up. Again, you can keep the back knee down or raise it up. It's a nice rotation. Also feeling it right outside the outer hip and into the glute. And then bring that top arm back down. Breathing into the hips. From here, we're going to step back to plank. This time as we lower down from plank, if you're feeling like you want to go a little bit further, make it a little bit more challenging, we lead forwards with the shoulders. Please lower your knees there if you need to. Sending the elbows back. The elbows stay stacked above the wrist, not behind, so keep them above the wrist. When we get down to the floor, press up into an upward dog. Lift the hips, push back, downward dog. Keep breathing. Engaging the thigh muscles, pulling the lower belly in, wrapping the shoulders. And then from here, walk the feet. Bring the body up halfway. Keep the belly nice and tight. Shoulder blades come down into the back. And then we're going to fold. Bend the legs here if you need to bend the legs. Curl up the spine, nice and slow. And then once we're at the top of the mat, we're going to take a wide stance. So both feet wide. Slightly turn your big toes in. Bring the hands to the hips. Take a breath in, and then when you're ready, we're going to lead forwards with the chest. Again, we're not going to push the bum back. So let the chest come forward, the hips hinge. The hands can come down onto blocks or anything that you need to use as a bit of a platform. If the floor feels too far away, don't force anything. If you're feeling more comfortable coming down a bit lower, the hands can come to the ground. You can walk the hands back behind us. You can choose to hold your big toes with your peace fingers, let the elbows open out to the sides. Add a little bit of tension by pulling down with the arms, pressing the big toes into the fingers. Lifting the hips. The weight slightly comes forward in my feet. Belly pulls in. Should have no discomfort in the lower back, so if you're feeling anything a bit funky, just bend the knees a little bit, maybe come up a bit higher. And then we're going to just start swaying about side to side, working into the hips. So you can continue to just stay here and just move side to side. You can come up and out at any point if you feel like you've been upside down for a little bit too long. Otherwise, we're going to come into some Cossack squats. So we're going to come all the way down to one side, and to begin with, you might need to come onto the ball of this foot. That's absolutely fine. If you can work that ankle down a little bit more, take the heel to the ground. A lot of the time, that's going to be the mobility in your ankle. From here, we're going to lift the hips up, come back to that wide leg fold, and then transition to the other side. I'm going to get a really nice opening into the inner thighs, into the adductors, right into the hips. Lift the hips again, across to the other side. And then this time, we're going to play with some rotations into this hip. So we're going to turn the toes up, turn them down, and just keep mixing that up. You might feel a little bit of crunchiness going on in your hip. Again, lift the hips up, across to the other side, turning that foot up and down. And then now we're going to see if we can start to go across the other side a little bit lower. So rather than coming all the way up into that wide leg fold. If I'm moving too fast from one side to the other, you can slow it down as much as you like. Use as many props as you need to. So we're going to keep adding and building onto the sequence into the hips. And then from this side, we're going to go across, As we get here, let's go for a reach. So the arm that's, your right arm, the one that's closest to the bent knee, is going to reach out in front. The left arm is going to draw up and open. Let's open that chest. Pull the belly in tight. You can add a bind here for your shoulders if it feels good. The top arm comes all the way behind you. The bottom arm wraps around the front of the shin. And then we try and hold hands behind the back. Keep the belly nice and tight. From here, release the hands, come across the other side. Bottom arm reaches out, top arm reaches up. Maybe you stay there or add a bind. This time we're going to come across, back into our Cossack. You can use blocks to help. You can bring your hands behind you, have a little go at sitting down onto your bum, and then coming back up again. Okay, so you can use your hands here behind you to sit down, press, reach forwards to come back up. You can also use maybe a block or something under your bum just to make that distance a little less further away. Sit onto the block and come back up again. Really challenging that mobility in the ankle and the control. We'll do the same on the other side. Back into that Cossack, sit down. Again, you can use that block behind you and come back up. And then come across back to that right leg. So we're on the right side, we're going to turn into a lunge position. We've already been here. We're going to continue to turn. So we're going to take the left hand to the center of the mat, turn onto the outer edge of your left foot, and then turn your right toes to the side of your mat. From there, lift the hips, reach the top arm up and overhead. This will get right into the outer hip. Should feel pretty awesome. Come back to the front, turn into your Cossack, across to the other side, turn and then keep turning. So go onto the outer edge of my right foot, the left toes turn to the side of the mat, hips lift up and the top arm reaches overhead. Coming back to the lunge, then to the Cossack, across, turn, keep turning, lift that top arm, come back, Cossack, across, lunge, keep turning. And then back onto the right leg at the front of the mat. From here, lower your back knee to the ground. We're going to come into the hamstrings as well and add this in. So we come up, the back hip stays above the knee. We're going to turn the front toes up and then just turn that foot side to side, working into the hamstrings. So from here, I'm reaching forwards and leading with the chest. I'm not rounding through the back. You may then find you need to use a prop either side. So you can use a block under each hand just to elevate the body up a little bit higher so you can feel that better for your body if you're finding that you're just rounding over. You really want to feel this through the hamstrings. Turn the foot side to side, maybe keep walking the hands forward. Tiny soft micro bend in the knee is great. We don't want to force it locked out and back. And then come back into the hips, back into the hamstrings. And on this next one, we're going to turn back to Cossack. Across to the other side, into your lunge, lower the back knee, turn the front toes up, turning that foot side to side, leading forwards with the chest, taking the belly to the thighs, to the thigh. And then again, back to Cossack, across. Let's turn all the way around into the outer hip again. Lift that top arm up and over. Come back to your lunge, lower the back knee, come into the hamstrings. Keep breathing in and out of the nose. Come back to the lunge, turn to the Cossack, last time through. Cossack to the other side, keep turning, get into that outer hip. Back into the lunge, lower the knee, come into the hamstrings, turning that foot. Coming back to that lunge, turning to your Cossack, and then let's lift the hips from here, come back into that wide leg fold. The hands come down to the ground. We're just going to hop the feet in so that we're sat into a squat. And for your squat, again, you might not be able to get the heels down, that's fine. So we just come slightly onto the balls of the feet, or maybe add a little bit of a turn out with the toes, but try not to sit with them right out like this. Okay, so from here, we want a bit of tension through the feet, gripping the mat. Pull the belly in, squeeze the muscles in your bum, and then bring the hands together. You've got the option of sitting with the hands here, or maybe the knuckles if you need a little bit more into the hips. Keep the belly nice and engaged, the chest sits up tall. And you're just moving around in this position. Good for the ankles. For a lot of people, this tends to feel quite uncomfortable, so we really want to try and get used to spending a bit more time sat in a squat, which really we want it to become a natural position. That just comes down to the amount of time majority of us have sat in chairs and got tight in the hips, or depending on what footwear you've been wearing, you've ended up with tight ankles. So we want to try and restore a bit of that natural movement like what you had when you were a kid. From here, we're rocking out of the hips. The weight of the knees is kind of going to the backs of the arms, so actually just pressing the knees open, not coming into a balance. So stretching into the groin. And I'm going to add some rotations from here. Hopefully you're still with me. Sat in your squat, take hold of one ankle or bring the hand onto the ground. Draw the opposite elbow back. So just opening the chest, coming back to the center, draw it back. Maybe you can go a bit further, and if you can, we're going to take that arm all the way up and open. So we're opening the chest here, drive the knees out. Bring the top arm back down and switch to the other side, hold the ankle, the elbow leads back, opening the chest, feeling that rotation all the way down into the hip. And maybe we can extend that arm. Bring it back, and again. And then we'll switch side to side. One more each side. And then from here, bring the hands to the ground, or you can hold your big toes with your fingers, lift the hips, and we'll go for a fold. You can bend the legs as much as you need to. Lift the chest up tall, walk the hands around to the front of the mat. Step into a plank. Lower down to the mat. Press up to an upward dog. Wiggle about into those hips a little bit. Back into a downward dog. Raise up onto the balls of the feet. Lower the knees to the ground. And let's rest. So the forehead can come down. We can hold the elbows with the hands and just rest the forehead onto the forearms like a cushion. Press the bum back towards the heels. Maybe walk the hands out in front, and then we'll just come into one more lateral body opener. Walk the hands around to one side as far as you can. Press the opposite hip back to the heel rather than letting it raise up. Walk the hands all the way back around to the other side. and then release. So thanks for moving with me. I'll be posting a video every Friday, just my own sort of flow that I do when I get up in the morning, and I hope you can join me and I hope you enjoy it.